Mhm.
Do I have to introduce myself?
You can.
I'm Adriana, and I'm going to be telling you about graffiti and it being an art and not a nuisance. So imagine you're in an alleyway with all sorts of art styles of graffiti murals that fill the alley with vibrant, beautiful colors. And the next time you see it, it is removed with bland paint because of the law. There are many artists in this world that would need a different outlet for their art, which is why they would choose graffiti. Not only would they get a bigger canvas, but their art would be seen by many viewers. But because it is seen as vandalism and destruction, many people would prefer not to see that form of art. That reason is because people link graffiti with gang activity and call all those who use graffiti vandals and hooligans. The difference between taggers and graffiti artists are that taggers are usually inexperienced people who scribble on private and public buildings, while graffiti artists make thought-out artistic murals. Another reason why people would not want graffiti in their communities is because they deem it to be unsafe and that it just makes their community very unpleasant, in their opinion. But I would say that it would make it more colorful and vibrant, and it would just make it seem lively instead of just modern. And to fix this situation and to make graffiti more accepted is, instead of being controlled by property owners, city planners, and advertisers, publicly visible surfaces should be freely used by city residents as a means of visual expression. And if, like, for the future, if graffiti ends up being accepted, I think that they should use a coding so that any sort of street art or tagging from those who use it by tagging their names should be, like, the original mural should be covered with a coat that they could just wipe off the tagging and all that stuff, and then you could just have the original mural. You wouldn't have to worry about, like, it being unpleasant or anything. And they have done this to Banksy, if anybody knows Banksy. He is an anonymous graffiti artist who goes by the name of Banksy. Most of his artwork conveyed strong messages about violence and homelessness. What makes Banksy different from other graffiti artists is that he conveys his thoughts to the public without anyone's approval. And they have done that, put a coat on his art because they wanted to keep it on the wall and not be drawn over and all that. But it didn't work for that long, which is, I don't think it would be a big deal just because, like, they could just paint over it with a new mural. And what I see for the future of graffiti is that the public will be awakened to the spaces that they have forgotten in the world and redefine the limits and purpose of the city and its spaces. I'm sure that if it were accepted and if it were accepted in this world and everywhere would be filled with art, no covering it or anything would be with having graffiti in like everywhere, it would normalize it, and seeing it everywhere would make no difference because it's just art. And having graffiti would add character and personality to communities. Allowing graffiti would then allow artists a healthy and creative outlet. And what people can do to take this into action is taking legal action and putting forward the idea of changing the already existing rules of property rights and would restrict the control of urban landscape, which would give everybody freedom to draw everywhere. And also teaching the youth and accepting graffiti as an art form. So, and I got this from the article that art needs and deserves room for acceptation and should not be confined to established galleries and museums or private collections. And graffiti is a form of expression. Yes, we can say that graffiti is a crime, but when you look at it in a different perspective, instead of thinking that people who leave graffiti on walls as delinquents and other words you may think of, you should try to understand the message that you are getting from what they make, why they would be portraying that certain message. Yeah. I would also like to bring up my community. Where I live is in South Dakota, Butte, and over there they have tons of murals. And so it's already accepted over there. And that's why I think it should be accepted everywhere.